Robots don't make good teachers, everyone. It's Deep Dive Zone, the Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Devin, as always joined by my co-hosts Lauren and Bruce. And guys, today we have our second batch of 3 episodes of Sonic X to review.
Yes, we do.
And
there are things I could say, but I'm not going to say them.
yeah, both of you have given me some apprehensive feelings of dread going into this episode. But I guess we'll.
I don't think it's specifically this episode. I think it's just Sonic X in general for me.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
we'll just get things moving. I think we're
Yeah,
starting here
yeah.
with episode 4. Get the Chaos Emerald! Also known as Chaos Emerald Chaos in the dub. When a Chaos Emerald is discovered in the city, Team Sonic and Eggman race for it. Meanwhile, Gun spies on heroes and villains alike.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact order of things here, but some point near the beginning, the characters explain the Chaos Emeralds to the humans, and I think this is the first time I've seen in a piece of Sonic media that we've covered here.
Actually explain them, right?
That they said, oh yeah, when you collect all the Chaos Emeralds, then they kind of just scatter around the world, which you can assume as much.
Sure, but this, I think
this
the
is
first time we've actually seen it outright stated. Yeah, they basically act like Dragon Balls.
Which,
yeah, I think they even use a similar effect once it happens. Although I don't know if that's just in Frontiers or we'll have to get to that.
They do. I know they do in Frontiers.
Yeah, I like the Chaos Emeralds just have very little lore, and so the explanation for what they are basically just amounts to there's 7 of them and they're powerful.
Right.
Well, I think it's Amy who specifically is like they're gems filled with magic or something like that, which is an odd thing to say because it's an explanation without being an explanation, and it kind of threw me off a little bit.
In the same scene just before that, Tails just says the Chaos Emeralds are the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah.
The fuck does that mean?
There are bits and pieces occasionally in the series where they'll say things like the Chaos Emeralds can supposedly grant wishes, which I don't like because we've had enough fucking wish magic in this series already. But the thing is, they never really do that. They mostly just power stuff, unless we're gonna get into like Sonic 06 territory, which you can still debate.
Yeah, well, that is also interesting because the second movie also makes noises about them being able to grant wishes.
Yeah.
So, I think it's not quite in a literal sense.
No,
it's
I think
more
it's
like
just like the
Chaos
power
Emeralds.
to make your wish. I guess like they can give you power to make your wishes come true.
Right, they let you fulfill your ambitions because that's always what they do in this series.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, in any case, there's a construction yard and the Green Chaos Emerald is there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's before this that it's revealed that the government knows where Sonic is, which, okay, I'm glad that, the horrible job at hiding didn't work.
Right.
We're not going to just pretend like it did. Although, I will say that it's a little contrived that they're like, oh, let's just observe them for now. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be a spot of some discussion.
I assume the idea is like they want to determine if Sonic and his friends are some kind of threat, like Eggman is.
Well, they say the exact same thing about Eggman. They're like, oh, let's just observe him for now, too.
That's true.
Yeah, it makes more sense for Sonic and the gang because at least they're not an active threat. But,
right.
Yeah, and this does involve us getting introduced to this show's version of the president.
Is he Bush or is he Nixon?
He's a combination of Bush and Nixon, which is just what the wiki says, I think, and maybe that's from some interview. I don't know.
I mean, you can just tell by looking at him that he's pretty much just a combo of them.
We don't see it until later, and I didn't start writing in my notes until later. But this guy's name is Michael R. Like they don't give him a last name; it's just the initial R. So I like to call him.
Some people go by.
Some people will just go by an initial.
I'm calling him President Mike.
Fair enough.
But yeah, the government is interested in Sonic and Friends. I guess they're a threat to national security.
Or they're a potential threat to national security.
But they're going to be spying on them from here on out, which leads into this scene. So Chris Thorndike, right? He's like 12 years old, yeah?
What is this school? It looks like a fucking kindergarten.
Yes, what is this dinky school classroom?
I,
I don't think this is a Japan thing, and certainly I don't think any of
well,
our school classrooms,
not for
in fifth or sixth
12-year-olds. I
grade look
mean,
like this.
I think like kindergarten classes are going to look pretty much the same no matter where you are.
Yeah,
Whereas like I don't know, 12-year-old that's middle school, so it should look like a pretty normal school.
yeah. And yes, Chris has friends here, at least two of them, maybe more. So he's got an adult figure in his life and at least two friends. I don't know where the loneliness comes in. I thought he was supposed to be he has no friends or parental figures. What's going on, guys?
Hmm.
He's rich and can't relate to any of them.
Oh, I have friends, but they're all peasants. I'm so sad.
Jesus.
Maybe even his teacher could serve as yet another adult figure in his life, but his teacher has been unpersoned by the government.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
went to some game show or something, quote unquote.
Yeah, we never see exactly what happened to her. I think her name was Wendy. But
Yeah, Miss
they're like, oh,
Wendy.
she got something cool happened, and now she's not here.
Immediate thought. Teachers are fed.
Well, yes, that's the point. They
Um,
have
well, yeah. I mean, it's like the government's not even trying to be inconspicuous about this, and I think Chris is relatively quickly. Chris is immediately suspicious of him.
yeah. This is
I don't know about
Mr.
this episode.
Stewart. He's a spy teacher,
Yeah,
and I fucking hate this guy.
he's really creepy.
I I have no thoughts about him, honestly. I'm like I don't know
My,
why. I can't think of any reason to hate them. I can't think of any reason to like them. I
so
barely think about them.
So Bruce thinks that he's creepy, and that's because he will be like following Chris around a lot in this show.
Yeah,
That's not my reason for hating him, and you'll get to understand my reason for hating him the more we see him. But
oh boy, okay.
yeah, so this guy is obviously a spy. He's basically just here to get close to Chris so that he can like spy on Sonic, I
Right.
guess.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but that's what's going on at the school right now. There's a lot of half disconnected scenes in this because it's not like we really get any sort of resolution to that before we go back to the construction site to see the Chaos Emerald.
Right.
Anywho, yes, construction site. Chaos Emerald's
Right.
there, and I guess this guy in his I don't remember if it's like a digger or what. I don't have the episode in front of me. Um,
It's like a backhoe.
he doesn't even touch it, but just being near the Chaos Emerald makes it go completely crazy.
This is very strange to me. I usually think of Chaos Emeralds as inert,
Yeah.
unless they're harnessed. I
Since when can
don't
they affect
know
things like
what's going
this?
on here.
Yeah, I'm used to them being power sources and pretty much nothing else. But this show, and I guess it kind of follows the trend of like Sonic Underground. Maybe it
No, no,
presents
no.
those
I
things
Sonic
didn't
as they
Underground, it was shattered. That was a very good reason for that. The reason it acted up there.
okay, fine. But this ends up being destructive enough to be newsworthy, and so Cream sees this on TV and
Understandably.
she's like, "Hey Sonic, check this out." But
It
Hey,
is.
At least Sonic hadn't just like ran away.
Yeah, he's actually. I'm not going to address that. First, I'm going to just point out that when Cream runs to him, Cheese like takes a moment to close the door behind her, which is just really cute.
That is
Um,
adorable.
but yeah, the fact that Sonic is just waiting there, this is a thing that I feel like is going to be in the show a lot, which is Sonic surprisingly isn't like Sonic and is just lazing around. I mean, let me think about this. I guess
mean, like
Sonic does have points when he's
He
just
does.
chilling
Yeah.
around. I mean,
I mean, the
he can't
beginning of
run around all the
Adventure.
time.
yeah, I think that's one of the
But yeah, I don't know
things.
why he's staying with all of them.
I definitely remember people talking a lot about how much Sonic sleeps on rooftops or just hangs around in this show. And I think it's that it's really hard to consistently portray Sonic as having any kind of lifestyle because in the games, obviously there's always going to be something going on because need to have an excuse to play as him.
hmm
So I'm not too bothered by this. I don't know if I necessarily believe they just hang out at Chris's house, but
Well, I mean, yeah, I can believe Tails, Amy, and Cream hanging out there, but Sonic, I can believe him coming back to sleep there like a stray cat.
I guess it's easy access to food, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, he comes back to eat and sleep, and then he just,
Well,
he explores.
and he likes hanging out with Tails at least, so at least his
Sure,
other
yeah, and
friends are
Tails
here,
being
so that
there.
might be part of it.
Yeah, he has an excuse to come back because his friends are there.
Also, Eggman sees the TV report, so he's heading for the Chaos Emerald.
I thought it was funny the first time, but I didn't realize that it was going to be a trend that Eggman always picks robots with a deck of cards, and also they reuse the same footage.
Yeah, it's one of the bits of bank animation in this show, and it means that when they
Mhm.
superimpose, whichever image of the robot onto the slots, they don't use the same image of the slots every time, I don't think, but they do a lot of the time, and you can kind of
Mhm.
see the seams. But yes, in this case we have E11, which is some kind of jet bird.
Oh, they called him Beacon in the dub. Interesting.
Yeah, he's
And
11 in Japanese.
I mean, they all have both numbers and usually names too, I
Yeah.
believe. I'm just
Um.
they don't
Yeah.
usually say the name out loud in the Japanese version, so I'm not
Right.
familiar with the names outside of their numbers. But hey, that's as close to a real badnik as we've seen so far in this show. So,
True, true. It is
Yes.
definitely more
Yeah.
Eggman-like.
but it's starting to look like a battle for the emerald since Gunn is tracking him too. And well, Sonic is heading out, obviously. Tails and Amy heading out, obviously. Um, and during this sequence, especially with Sonic running here, I was noticing that like art and animation is pretty static and bland in this episode. Like it just doesn't look all that
Mhm.
hot,
Yeah.
which is gonna be a trend. It has its ups and downs. And one thing that I'm especially bothered by in this show is that Sonic only has 3 quills.
Fuck, why'd you have to point that out?
At every angle, they only draw him with 3 quills rather than 6, like he has in the games and always had,
Right.
even as far back as like the original classic Sonic model sheets. Not that, not that Western artists ever paid attention to those. Um,
No, but still, he's supposed to have them.
I've taken a couple looks at Sonic the comic for After X, and they really do draw him like a blue pineapple from behind. Um, but
Yeah, I really wish you hadn't pointed that out because I'm gonna keep noticing that.
yeah. In any case,
I'm surprised you're not used to it by now, honestly.
I don't know, man. I like to think some of the people who work on this series actually care.
I did.
Occasionally it happens.
I'm not saying it's a problem of not caring. It's just a thing that they did in the model sheets that I don't like.
Yeah.
In any case, Chris comes running after when he sees the tornado. Is this the one where he uses fucking roller skates?
Yeah. He also
Yeah.
dips class.
Yeah, completely skips class, and then Mr. Stewart does too. He just
Mm-hmm.
leaves the class with no teacher.
Oh wow, I wonder if he's spying on Chris. I bet no
Mm-hmm.
one will notice.
Mm.
It's it's wacky.
That's one word for it.
Yeah. So Sonic, of course, meets up with the guys in Eggman and tries to fight Beacon. And it's weird. It seems to attack by doing nothing. Like he just bounces on it and it hurts.
Yeah, what's going on?
It looks like it's just bopping him around. It's a little hard to tell, but it's
Yeah.
not much of a fight, to be honest.
It really isn't.
Yeah, the action is really weird, and well, we managed to prolong it for a little bit because Amy's like, "Hey, Sonic," and throws him a ring, and he just can't get it. He's just
Yeah, and then Amy blames herself.
it's very weird because it's right in front of him, and he just whiffs.
Yeah. It's
Um,
Sonic's fault, if anything. Or
it's
no
like,
one's.
that's not what I expect from Sonic, but
Mm-mm.
He
um,
seems like he's kind of off his game in this episode. It's weird because beforehand he's like he runs to the scene and he's like, huh. Well, maybe I should just wait for everyone, and then they'll give me an overhead view of where the action's at. I would expect Sonic to just run around and look around himself. It's
Mm-hmm.
a little
yeah.
weird.
Well, and that would make sense since we know that the emerald is at a construction site, and while he's fighting the robot,
Right.
Eggman is digging up the emerald.
Right.
Yeah. But you said it wouldn't be a problem forever. But I'm gonna say for the record that as soon as Sonic does get a power ring, he just completely wins in a second.
Right.
Yeah. Also, digging up the emerald at the construction site, there was a news report on this thing, and they didn't do anything with it. They just left it there.
Well, I assume the way it reacted to the backhoe, they wouldn't want to.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess did they say anything about like, oh, we've quarantined the place or something? Did
I
they
don't
say that?
think they do, but I just kind of assumed.
Yeah. But yeah, so Eggman digs up the emerald, but Chris actually grabs it, and they sort of squabble over the thing.
This
No
little
idea.
uh, fight, quote unquote, between Eggman and Chris is actually kind of funny. I absolutely love the bit when Eggman just uses the shoulder tap trick on Chris to get the emerald from him. It's
I'd
it's
Yeah.
like to
amazing.
also question either how tall is Eggman or how short is Chris?
Eggman is giant, like even compared to
Yeah,
most adults.
that's what I thought. I mean, he's all. I mean, I've described him as a gorilla before, but Jesus.
Yeah, but that's more in reference to his build. The fact is, in this
Yeah.
show, he's like, I don't know, he's definitely more than 6 feet tall. He might be closer to 7. It's one of those things where it is all relative because I know that um, pretty much all Japanese media, even if a character is meant to be, tall, will be less than 6 feet tall just because that's differences in proportion
Well,
across
yeah.
geographic regions. So, like,
Right.
Son Goku is a giant man. He's like 5'4" or something like that.
No, he's,
Um,
he's 5'9".
5'9", sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
I only know that because he's taller than Kayla.
so whether Eggman is meant to be like 7 feet tall, I'm not certain. But yes, I do like Chris jumping on him and trying to get the emerald. I mean, he's pathetic. This
Oh
is
yeah,
very silly. Um,
yeah.
but it's Chris putting in the work to do his best. And
Which I can appreciate, you know.
Well,
he
it's just
pulls on Eggman's
funny
mustache.
because yeah, no, he that bit is very silly. It's clear that Eggman isn't really trying that hard. He's like, oh, it's just a kid. I don't need like this should be easy. But Chris is just way too persistent, and so that's the reason it's so drawn out.
Right.
Yeah. Well, in this animation of him like trying to climb the Eggmobile looks really jank. It kind of doesn't follow the laws of physics, but yeah, I like him holding onto the mustache for dear life, and Eggman's like, "Ow, get the fuck out! The emerald's not worth it. I'll push you off." Um,
Well, he thought he still had the
no, I
emerald.
know,
That
I'm
was on
joking.
accident.
But yes, it does leave Chris falling through the air with the emerald until yeah, Sonic gets the ring. He blows up E11 in the lamest action sequence so far and catches Chris.
Right.
And remember Mr. Stewart? Because I didn't. He just like disappeared here. He was trailing a kid who only had roller skates, but he had a car, and he's
I
like
mean, he
now
doesn't want to get too
surprised to
close.
see him. Did he stop to get McDonald's? Where's he been?
Yeah, you know.
He went back because he realized he'd been away too long and he'd probably raised suspicion.
Right. You know.
I guess. He has a 007 spy car though. I guess we don't really see much of that in this episode, but still. Yeah. So Chris did get the emerald, so that's one good boy point. But he then loses that same point because he's a hypocrite. He was chewing out Sonic for being reckless in episode 2, but then he just does this.
You know.
Does he not think his own life has any value? Because, well, a lot of dub fans agree with that, but still.
He's a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I know. Well, then he should have shut the fuck up about Sonic starting a war. Anyway, that's basically the end. I didn't write a conclusion, so I don't think there was anything that.
They look
There's
at the
hardly a
Chaos Emerald.
conclusion in the episode.
Yeah.
The characters just like there's this weird giggling on still frames of them like smiling, and then it zooms out, and that's like it.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
this is probably the worst episode so far.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
It's just plot is slightly inscrutable, visually not that interesting, and strange decisions. So I don't know. Let's push it to episode 5, which I think there may be some split opinions here. This is Clash Sonic versus Knuckles, or and the dub calls it Cracking Knuckles. Uh, Tails, Amy, and Chris are excited to discover a Chaos Emerald in the nearby Silver Valley, but unbeknownst to them, Eggman has set a trap for Sonic to fight against Knuckles.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we're doing a Knuckles episode. He was around before, but this is the actual Knuckles episode.
Right.
And we start off with him kind of reminiscing on his job as Guardian. Get some soft jazz, I guess.
Yeah.
And well, Eggman's here, and well, it's the usual Eggman and Knuckles gambit.
Yep.
I am so sick and tired of this. This show almost
Same.
seems aware, though, of it to a degree because it's played up to an absurd level. Eggman's like, oh, Sonic is such a tyrant. He's keeping us all here. He said, no one can leave this dimension. I am having too much fun here. Like, it's absurd. And then all Knuckles hears is like, Sonic, I'll punch him. Like, he barely reacts to anything except, oh, Sonic. It's like, he was already annoyed with Sonic. It's like, he just needed any excuse, it seems like, to fight him.
Yeah, so I have very mixed opinions on this because on the one hand, yeah, Eggman tricking Knuckles is so played out in this series by this point that it's like, even though Sonic X is another continuity, it's like it already feels tired.
Yeah.
But that said, it is an alternate continuity, so I don't know what actually counts. If we say that like only Sonic 3 counts, because I don't know if Sonic 3 even happened in this continuity. I assume it did, but I don't know.
True.
Like, it's maybe fair that if Eggman came to him with this, oh, find the emeralds so we can go home, like, I would almost believe it, but especially since Knuckles wants to get home more than anybody else in this show. But
Sure.
I don't know. It's like Eggman is so sanctimonious here. It's like he's playing it up so much. Like, I know that the joke is that Knuckles is too trusting because he doesn't have life experience to make him cynical.
Sure.
But
It's still annoying.
I think the thing is that
it's not believable at all.
I mean, it's like fool me twice, shame on me. You know, it's but Knuckles has gotten fooled like 7 times.
Yeah, fully, yeah. He just doesn't understand.
Well, it's like the Master Emerald is the most important thing to Knuckles. Eggman already tried to steal it once, and we have no reason to assume that he didn't in this version because it's meant to be as close to the games as possible.
Right.
So it's like just I don't know why he would trust Eggman unless somehow a version of Sonic 3 where Eggman did not steal the Master Emerald happened in this show, which could be true for all I know. I don't know, but
yeah, we really don't know the game background of what's happened and what hasn't.
As I said, the only way I can explain this is the fact that Knuckles has been shown to just be annoyed with Sonic this whole show so far.
Well, yeah.
It seems like he just needed any excuse. And he was like, okay, great, I'm gonna go fight Sonic.
And I would rather believe that, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's frustrated that Sonic's basically got them stuck here.
Yeah. Anywho, so we're back with Tails and Chris. They got the emerald in a special thing. I don't know what that does. I guess it's just a very nice holding case.
Yeah,
it's to stop it from just reacting for no reason with things around it.
I brought my Game Boy close to this thing, and it started telling me to kill myself.
Jesus Christ.
So the Thorndike Mansion is apparently, well, I guess it's not apparent, it's obvious, but it's so big that, you know, Chris has a live-in maid and butler here along with his grandpa. And they have not even seen Chris or Chuck enough to know that there's 4 furries living here in secret.
Right.
And so this is our introduction to them to some extent. We get the maid. Her name is Ella.
Right.
She, in the dub, is voiced by Mike Pollock doing a slightly stereotypical accent.
That's fun.
It's certainly something. Tails instinctively pretends to be a stuffed animal to throw her off.
He's very good at it. I'll give him that.
Okay, well, I'll touch on that first. I will say that, yes, that kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of funny. Seeing the characters just pose as stuffed animals, and yeah, they do it, like, perfectly.
Yeah.
It just looks very silly. That's kind of entertaining. But why don't they just let their whole household in on it? Like, why?
I
Surely,
think they're
do they
just
not trust them?
concerned about doing that.
Yeah, I don't know what they think they would do.
I
But
mean, I don't know.
maybe they're just like, I mean, if this is like a spur of the moment thing, like Tails does this and Chris sees it and like assumes like maybe he has a reason that he doesn't want to be found out.
Sure.
Um, I don't know if Ella or Tanaka are prone to gossip. I
Do
don't
they
know.
even leave the house?
I have no. We usually don't see them out. I guess we see Ella shopping sometimes, maybe, but that's it.
I guess you would have to go shopping, but other than that,
Yeah, and I don't know why Tails does that either, because I mean, it's not like Cream or Sonic or whoever does anything like that. They just it's
right.
friggin' Toy Story is what it is. It feels like it's involuntary almost.
Yeah.
It's obviously not, but they had it there. We get a little bit of an introduction to Mr. Tanaka here. I don't know who voices him in the dub, but he also has a hell of an accent. Um, he does say Chuck's name out loud in the Japanese
Yes.
version. Does he say that in the dub, Lord?
Not that I can recall.
Okay.
Interesting.
He says that Chuck's been he's been too active. He needs to go sleep because he's an old man. Also known
Burning a candle
as
at both ends.
you need to not be part of this story.
Oof.
Yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, why is he being so insistent? And yeah, it's obviously that's the
Yeah,
reason.
you're not allowed to be part of the story, old man.
Yeah.
I would
Um.
believe it a little more if they had like built up Chuck as like a workaholic or something, which is maybe the idea, but
I
we
think
just
that's
haven't
the
seen that
idea.
so
Yeah, we just
far.
haven't gotten to see that yet.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of implied by the fact that he's a genius inventor and his son is, a big tech CEO. Um,
Right.
but it's not really. You'd have to read that as subtext. Um,
Mhm.
so Amy's here. She's got news about the Emerald in Silver Valley. So they're all gonna head out, except Sonic. He's not going because he's already been there, which is a weird thing
Fucking
to say. Did they
cartoons.
tell him that there's a Chaos Emerald there?
Uh,
It feels
don't.
it because they say we're going to Valley. Sonic says I've already
Right.
been there, and I don't think that I don't know if he knows that there's an emerald there, which would be fine. If he does know, it would actually be validating Eggman's words to Knuckles, which would be really
Yeah,
funny.
no, I don't think they actually tell him. They just say we're going to Silver Valley. You should come with us. He says no, and Amy just calls him an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever, I guess. But since Chuck has to sleep, he's taking his Tanaka mandated nap. They have to take public transportation and pretend to be stuffed toys. And
I
no, I
mean, why
think
not?
this.
It's cute, but also like, why not just dress them up as children?
Well, again, I don't know what they're supposed to look like from the human perspective in this show, so
I don't know, fucking cartoon animals like they do to us.
I In any
I don't
case,
know.
this little kid on the train starts pulling on Amy's head and is like, "Mom, I want a toy like this." And Amy kicks the shit out of her and fucking rockets her across the train car, which is amazing.
And don't worry, it's part of her action figure, whatever.
Kung Fu grip, but for legs.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Yeah. And well, now we have to talk about this little guy.
Oh, uh-huh.
So this is Bokun,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but they also just call him Messenger Robo for like the first 50 episodes of the show or something like that in the Japanese version.
He's a robot?
He is a robot, but he doesn't look like one,
Really?
does he?
No, he
I
doesn't
didn't
look like
think he was a
one.
robot.
I figured he was a robot.
I was like,
Then
why does Eggman have an imp minion? It's a
like,
robot. It just looks nothing like it.
He doesn't really look like he's made for this show, honestly.
not really.
That's also true.
Well,
Doesn't
because
help.
the two administrator robots, Deco and Boko, they're the scratch and grounder of this show, except not really
Right.
because they don't even participate that much. They are
Sure.
actually lifted from a different anime that TMS worked on that was a different
Oh.
mecha show. I don't remember what it's called, but their designs are like 1-to-1 almost. So maybe Bokun is the same story, but I've never seen any evidence of that.
I really just thought they were an homage to Scratch and Grounder, honestly. But
Yeah,
reused.
honestly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's just inevitable that Eggman's gonna get two little robot lackeys, and then a third one, which is weird. And Bokun's whole deal in this show is that he is the messenger robo, as they call him.
Right.
Um, and yeah, he's a weird design, and his whole gimmick is that he brings people messages via these TV monitors, and when they're done, Eggman says this message will self-destruct, and then it explodes on them. Except it almost the thing is that they do that once and maybe twice. At a certain point, they just start subverting it weirdly, and they never go back to doing it the normal way.
That's weird, but also kind of that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, but Tails, Amy, and Chris, they arrive at Silver Valley, and it's so pretty, and they're going to be searching for the emerald,
Yeah.
except they're not because Eggman's here.
Of
No
course.
surprise.
He's
I mean,
he's got E47. What is the dub color, Lauren?
I did not make a note of it.
Oh,
I feel like
okay.
it's not even mentioned.
according to the
we'll
wiki,
remain a
it's
mystery until we're dead.
Pumpty.
What was that, Bruce?
It is Pumpty, according to the wiki.
Pumpty.
That name does not sound familiar to me. Maybe it was in like one line or something and I missed it.
I don't
Okay,
know.
certainly
now I'm
wasn't
doubting
mentioned
that the
multiple
Japanese
times.
version would ever let it be named that.
I probably.
In any case, Tails, Amy, and Chris get kidnapped by that thing. There was no emerald here. Eggman leaked a fake story as a pretense to get Sonic here.
Damn.
And
And it didn't work to get Sonic here,
no, it
ironically.
didn't.
It's true, it didn't.
Instead, only the fact that he kidnapped his friends works as a reason to get Sonic over here.
Right.
At least he'll come for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's not totally heartless.
But it does mean that, we're contriving this little fight with Knuckles. And I'll say this. This is a much better dynamic for Sonic fighting Knuckles than any of the fucking comics ever gave us. Because Sonic was, always ready to throw down with Knuckles because they seem to fucking hate each other for so much of those comics. Here,
Right.
Sonic is smug as hell, and Knuckles is completely hot-headed. And I'm not saying that that's good necessarily, because Sonic should probably just say, hey, dumbass. And Knuckles should be like,
Dumbass,
"Oh,
it happened again.
Um,
You've been tricked.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I appreciate this fight in a vacuum. I like this
Sure.
for the same reason. Well, not the same reason, but I like this similarly to how I like Supersonic versus Hyper Knuckles.
Sure.
In that
Okay.
it's just entertaining and silly.
All
Yes,
right, yeah.
as you just said, Knuckles just going all out, Sonic not caring at all. Eventually, that comes back to bite him, though. Actually, the fight isn't just a one note. It actually goes on for quite a while. It's like one of the most evolved fights the show has had so far.
It might be one of the more elaborate ones that it ever has, if I'm honest. Not that I remember super well, but yeah, it's like Sonic understands that Knuckles is being played, but he's also just kind of happy to go along with it. It might even be that, if we are going along with this, that Knuckles is just kind of pissed off at Sonic and would take any excuse. Then Sonic is happy to play into that and just let him get the aggression out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's good for a laugh, because Knuckles, as much as he is pursuing Sonic, Sonic does have to try a little bit to keep away from him. Knuckles is not, I would not say demeaned by being turned into a joke as he fights Sonic. Even if Sonic's not taking it all that seriously. I do,
Right.
it's like he does the thing where Sonic stands on top of the tree and we get amazing Kanemaru gratuitous English where he goes, "Oh, what a great view!" It's good, and I like.
Yeah.
Here's one thing: Knuckles breaks a tree, and throws it at Sonic or whatever, and Sonic spin dashes down it into him in 2D, no less. It's the only time in the whole show that he spin dashes in 2D.
Interesting.
We do get a part where, even though, yeah, it's largely making fun of Knuckles, which I don't really mind, honestly. But they also make fun of Sonic because he falls in a shallow stream at one point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's 6 inches deep.
And he panics like he's gonna drown, and then it's Knuckles who's just standing there looking at him.
Yeah, if you can take the piss out of both Sonic and Knuckles, because both of them are characters that should be made fun of to some extent.
Yeah. Sure.
And Well, case in point, Sonic's here for his friends. They kind of almost free themselves. Tails dismantles the robot to escape.
Which awesome. Go, my
Yeah.
boy Tails.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah, let's go.
Well, he does that, and Amy's like, "Well, that's too slow. I'll just smash the shit out of it," and that does knock it over. But it's annoying because that happens, but then it's like, "Oh, we can't get out of it because a 6-foot drop is too much." It's like, what?
Tails can
He
fly.
forgot how. Actually, has he flown in this show?
Actually, I don't think he has.
I
don't
assume
know
he
if we've
can
seen
because
this.
I assume he flies later. But technically, at this point, there's no evidence to say that he can.
That's true.
He definitely knows he can do it, but he hasn't shown it off yet.
That's
Um,
really stupid.
but yeah, Sonic and Knuckles' fight sort of gets closer to here. We get Sonic going, "Hey guys!" Um, Knuckles actually ends up being the one who breaks the mech's weapons because Eggman, is trying to hit Sonic, and he's like, "Don't interrupt my fight with Sonic. What are you doing, man?"
That's why he takes issue. He doesn't take issue at like kidnapping Tails and Amy. It's that he's interrupting the fight.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know. Maybe Knuckles thinks Eggman has some sort of plan.
well, and specifically the fact that like he still doesn't understand at this point that it's a dupe. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, very, very silly Knuckles, but Eggman's counter to this is to fly E47 to the other side of the lake, and he's like, "Haha, Sonic, you can't go in water." But it's not a moat, and Sonic just runs around the side.
I saw
I
that coming
mean,
from a mile away.
yeah. Well, also, Sonic can run on water. I don't know why he even goes around it.
Well, that's the thing is like if it was like an island in the middle of the lake, he'd be like, "Ah, you can't get me here," and then Sonic would show
Sure.
off by running on water, and you'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know
Sure,
he could do
yeah.
that." But he doesn't do that. He just moves like 100 yards away. Like I could
Right.
run there.
Yeah, shit. Just, yeah.
It's very very weird.
Eggman is a little. He's
Yeah.
not working with a full deck of cards right now, I think.
I guess not.
Well, actually, I guess he is.
Well, he's already used a few of them.
But you forget the most important card, missiles.
Missiles, yeah, those are useful.
Those are useful.
It's funny because Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Chris they take cover, right? They're like, "Oh, what will the heroes do to stop this?" And then Knuckles just does it himself. He just runs through it all in punches.
Yeah, because Knuckles has to have his moment, his bit of redemption, which
Yeah,
I don't even know if he realized he was ever tricked. But at least he destroyed Eggman's robot.
Yeah,
Yeah, the fight was interrupted and he got angry.
he's just that annoyed. Eggman just pissed him off that much. It's like, all right, alliance over.
I would like to point out for the lore of this show that when the robot is destroyed, Eggman says, "Oh no, it's not covered by insurance, so no insurance fraud yet."
Damn.
You're right. Well, and that makes sense because we have to get to the Sonic Adventure arc at least.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah, so Knuckles destroys the robot, and it's really it explodes, and the explosion is so big that it creates a giant gust of wind.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
That's weird. I mean, I guess this is the biggest robot Eggman has used against them so far, but
I don't know, Shockwave maybe?
I suppose. But yeah, it means that Knuckles gets blown away, but Sonic catches him, so now we're friends again, I guess.
It's quite bizarre because Knuckles is like, "Well, I'm out of here," and then Amy runs after him and is like, "Hey, I know you really want to say thank you, but you're just too proud." He's like, "Ah, no," and then there's like a pause. And he smiles. He's like, "Ah, ha, ha, you're cool. Okay, now I'm actually out of here."
It's really weird, yeah. Very, very strange episode. It is at least more fun than the last one, but it's a little sloppy, it feels like. The first 3 episodes, we had our complaints, but they didn't feel like they were tripping over themselves at points, and these two have so far.
Yeah, it's definitely sloppy, but at least this one has a pretty good second half.
Yeah, there's much more signs of life than the Chaos Emerald episode. And Well, you tell me what to think about this next episode. Fierce Battle School Wars, or as the dub calls it, Techno Teacher. Chris's school day is extended to dangerous lengths as his teacher is replaced with a robot designed to spread pro-Eggman propaganda.
Incredible.
That's also my comment on this. Um,
It's a fun concept, at least.
Yeah, it's a wacky off the wall idea
Yeah.
that I would not have seen coming, but somehow I can see Eggman doing that.
Yeah, it's a premise that could either be ridiculous in a great way or ridiculous in a really stupid way. We'll see which one this fills out. The first scene here is really weird because Sonic stands on the rooftop, he runs out, comes back, opens the door to see Amy, and then he tells her he went for a walk, and that's it. Like, what narrative thing is that accomplishing? It's just weird.
Probably just episode filler.
I guess because that, like, in the Japanese version at least, like, that all is like right before the title card, so maybe that has something
Right.
but like, what is what do you mean? Why?
Sonic went for a walk.
I don't
It's
know.
just
It's just
an
we've never had a
emotion.
scene like that in any other Sonic story.
No, we haven't.
It's like it's like if we had like a minute long scene of the characters eating dinner and not even talking to each other. Speaking of dinner, or I guess breakfast in this case,
Breakfast,
they're discussing things over, I don't know, those sandwiches maybe, burgers, but Chris
sausage
is like,
and eggs.
oh, sorry, I'm looking at the shots of Sonic, Tails, and Amy eating, and the shots of Chris eating are in a different. They're eating in different rooms because they're up in Chuck's room, I think.
Right.
In any case, Chris's parents are coming home today, and he's like, "Oh,
Holy crap!
I have to keep Sonic and Friends a secret from them." So, yeah, I guess we're still doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that a bit more.
Yeah, I can understand keeping it a secret from his parents.
Because they could freak out, but
Well,
the,
that could
the
explain why he
housekeepers seem chill, except about Chuck. But they're well-meaning.
But Ella and Tanaka might tell the parents. That might actually be true. Whereas you can expect Chuck to keep secrets from him because he's crazy and a grandpa.
Yeah,
He's crazy.
But yeah, Chris is late for school. He falls down some stairs, and well, we get to see Eggman's weird ass plan, which is I want to be respected and adored by children for some reason.
I mean, honestly, if you wanted respect and adoration, you should just go into like the defense contractor business.
well,
You can make some real money.
There are not from I don't know about how many child Lockheed Martin
No.
fans there are.
There's got to be at least one.
No, I mean you say for some reason, but this sounds exactly like what
This is
Eggman would
definitely
want.
an Eggman plan. He's like, yeah, I want kids to love me, so I'm going
I
to
guess-
manipulate their minds.
I guess
Yeah, he
it's,
is. He's
it's
very
a
self-centered. Of course,
it's a
he wants that.
confluence because Eggman in the games obviously never has plans like this, but every other piece of media does have Eggman at some point plan something very petty and ridiculous, whether it's the I hate music plans or the, I'm gonna run for president thing. That happens all the time in everything except the games, so I guess this is fun.
Right.
I don't know what he needs to shuffle the cards for in that case, though, because the robot teacher E51 is the one that makes sense, obviously.
How do you know he doesn't have other robots like the robot babysitter and the other related
Well,
occupations?
why not
Maybe he has a
just-
whole series of
Why not
robots
just
that
send the
replace
fucking...
jobs.
Just send the robot. Just send the rocket arm guy.
Yeah, kids like giant robots more than they do their teachers.
That's true.
Monster of the week. You can't reuse it.
No, I know.
I know.
And to be honest, it's like I'm almost not even against Eggman in this because he sends in the robot teacher, and obviously it's going to replace Mr. Stewart. Thing is, we see here that Stewart is completely bored by his students. He's not even trying to help them with those fraction equations. He doesn't give a shit.
That's not even stuff that they should be learning anyway.
It comes off that he didn't really get much training on how to be as a teacher
Yeah.
undercover.
Frankly, it doesn't seem like he has much of
Yeah.
a training as a spy. He's just sitting around.
He kind of, yeah,
Well,
honestly.
nothing's going on.
Yeah.
No excitement.
So E51 throws him out of the classroom, and
Oh, you didn't ask, but in the dub, his name's really stupid.
what is
boy.
in the
Intelligente.
Intelligente?
Intelligente?
Yep.
What?
Mr. This... Okay, they're definitely making some of those up. Yeah, so Stewart goes to the principal in anger, and then he brings him there, but all of the kids are like, wow, E51 is such a better teacher, so they just let him
Like,
stay.
wow. He's actually teaching us. Holy
Well, he actually
shit.
is a good teacher, is the thing.
Yeah, he's like actually teaching them shit.
Yeah, well, it's just, like, obviously this is a silly cartoon, so never in real life would this happen. I'm just imagining superintendent is going to beat the principal's ass when something terrible happens to those kids. Stewart is like, all right, no more fucking around. So he calls Gunn, but they don't take him seriously. And then he calls the cops, and they don't give a shit either.
I mean, I can see why Gunn wouldn't give a fuck.
Well, it's like, it makes me wonder, do you think he could even invoke Eggman's name? Do you think he even has reason to suspect Eggman? Because, I mean, if he said Eggman, I feel like they would take him up on that.
Well, random robot shows up. I mean, who else would it be?
I don't know,
But
because
the
apparently
robot's
he
also
doesn't.
not showing to be a threat yet.
Yeah, the people don't seem to have. They haven't seemed to have caught on to robot equals Eggman yet.
Yeah. Again, it's all just a vehicle for gags. Obviously, the cop pulls a fucking Chief Wiggum and attacks Stewart for disrespecting his burger, and that's what they do for most of the episode. He just gets chased around by this police dude.
Right.
Yep. While the robot remains a very good teacher, surprisingly.
Yeah, just no stranger danger at all. The fun fact: the commercial eye catch cards in the Japanese version. That's the first time the Deco and Boko get named in this show.
Okay. I know it's in one of these episodes he refers to one of them by name. Maybe the title card is before in this episode, but I'm sure
it also might be a dubism.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because I remember he hands Eggman the cards at one point, and he refers to, I think it's Tico.
Yeah. But yeah. So it's like from the cops, and then a step up to Gunn, and then a step up to Mr. Stewart, and then a step up to Chris. Nobody thinks like, I wonder if this robot called E51 might have something to do with Eggman. But it is funny because E51 decides, hey, I like being a cool teacher. I'm not going to spread Eggman propaganda. All these kids like me.
Yeah, I mean, good for him.
Well, see, the thing is, everyone's completely justified in not caring about him because he's being great. Like, he's not helping Eggman at all, and he doesn't want to.
Well, Eggman even sends in Bokun, and he's like, he comes up there, and he's like, hey, do your job, idiot, and he's like, no. that just completely demoralizes the kid. He falls on the ground crying because he won't do it. And, again, that's another Eggman robot showing up here. Now, granted, this one's only been in one other episode, and as far as we know, only Sonic has seen him, but...
I wouldn't recognize him as an Eggman robot.
Yeah, fair enough. Then Eggman himself shows up, and this is where it gets really weird. Because this is a man who attacked the city and police multiple times with giant robots. He's just here at a school, no less. And they're just like, oh, it's that bully Eggman.
Well, I don't know if anyone's aware that he's there, really. Except for the officer who's too focused actually on the burger than anything else. I
guess, but like the school kids are just like, oh, it's this dude.
It's this motherfucker.
Well, I think that the school kids have put their trust in E whatever. Because when Eggman shows up, which let me just say, he has a tool belt that he is threatening to disassemble the robot by hand with if he doesn't comply, which is very funny. But he's doing that, and then the kids are like, "Oh wait, but the teacher is so nice; he would never betray us." And then he complies instantly, which really surprised me actually. Like I've never seen an Eggman robot betray Eggman, and then the moment Eggman shows up and is like, "How dare you betray me?" He's like, "Oh yeah, you're right," and then listens to Eggman again. Like that's not how this goes.
Yeah,
No, not usually.
it's very rare that a Eggman betray or unbetrays him.
Right.
And yeah, they start the infinite after school lesson, all about how great Eggman is, and then we realize what the conflict of this episode is actually supposed to be, which is Chris not getting home in time to see his parents.
Oh no.
Also, Ella, why are you microwaving a whole chicken? That's not. Don't do that. It's supposed to be a better chef than that. And of course, Eggman's lesson isn't really a lesson. He just orders the kids to draw portraits of him, and
Right.
God, that is such a missed opportunity. Because can you imagine how many funny drawings of Eggman we could have seen?
Yeah, I was waiting for him to be like, "Get my good side" or whatever, and then like, "All right, what do you got?" That it's just like a really stupid drawing. But no, they didn't do that, which is lame.
Yeah. Instead, Sonic shows up, and it's like, oh, we're
Damn,
just,
Sonic,
we're
why are
just
you
doing the usual
ruining the party?
now. Case in point, there's not even any teaching themed robot attacks. He just has missiles.
I feel like the teacher robot having missiles is doesn't make a whole lot of sense anyway.
You could at
Was
least
an Eggman robot, so
it
of
could
course
at
it
least
has
have been like
But,
giant pencils or something.
Sure.
And what's really weird is that Sonic just bodies him. He just destroys him. He blows him to bits. None of the kids care. They're perfectly happy to see this.
This doesn't make any sense to me. It's they have so much build up about how he's a great teacher actually, and he's like, "Oh, but I really care for the children."
Right.
And yeah, and then he just instantly turns, and I thought, okay, he's gonna have a moment at the end where he realizes that he actually shouldn't listen to Eggman, but no, he just blows up. Nobody cares. Story doesn't care. Moving along.
Absolutely bonkers. Well, it's like you could almost play it for dark comedy, to have Sonic do that and then have all the children crying about it. But no, they're bloodthirsty. They're happy to see him die.
He is
I
still
mean,
a teacher.
he had betrayed them completely, so I guess.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of any scenario where I take anybody seriously as a teacher, regardless of whether they betray me, and then I just watch them die. It's like that would still have an emotional effect. I would not be cheering.
I'm just trying to come up with anything.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the answer is it's a wacky kids cartoon, so it doesn't matter that much. But it's like, we've talked about this, I was talking about with like Heavy and Bomb in the Archie comics, how it's very weird, the line between Eggman robots and whether they get to count as people or not.
Right.
And yeah, it's done. Eggman's like, all right, you win. Here's your reward. Take this little Eggman badge. And Sonic's like, no. And he's like, okay, well, what about you kids? You like me, right? And they're like, no. And he's like, foiled again. And then he just runs away.
Oh,
Like,
man. I'd still
expected-
take the Eggman badge.
I want the Eggman badge.
I want it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm suddenly picturing a really weird, like, self-parody. What has Sonic ever done something like this? Where, like, it's Eggman in the real world, and then he finds actual adoration because people think he's funny. It's a really weird idea. Anyway,
I see what you're saying, and I don't know. We'll have to see.
you say that like there is a piece of media that does that, but I've never heard of such a thing.
There's something kind of like that in IDW, but it's not quite the same.
Oh, okay.
I think I know what that was talking about, yeah.
Oh yeah, but yeah. This whole plan, this is not at all what I pictured. Like, I thought it was gonna be a wacky, weird plot, but this is wacky and weird in a way I did not expect. And yeah, it just does things and then it just ends. I
pretty
don't know
much.
what to think about it.
Yeah, it's like
It's certainly a plot.
I think that the first episode we covered today was the worst of the bunch, and it's probably still the worst episode so far. This one is the one
Yeah.
that gives the least of a fuck. Like, it just doesn't care
Yeah.
what it's about.
It doesn't really
Yep.
care about its plot. Well, what plot it has.
No, I mean it's clearly here for the gags, and that's
Mhm.
fine, but it's just bizarre, and some of the gags are weird too, honestly. And yeah, Eggman just runs away. Stewart fucked off with his stolen hamburger. He's eating a burger that he stole from a cop who was also eating it. That's a little gross.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, it'd be one thing
Well-
to steal a burger that didn't have bites taken out of it already.
So this is just another thing where it's like I don't understand what's happening. It's like this episode doesn't follow any train of logic.
Yeah.
Because he took the hamburger because the police officer wasn't paying attention to the scene. I would expect him to just throw it away, but no, now he's eating it.
Yeah, now it's like the hamburger became what was important to him.
Yeah, yeah.
This episode is wild. So yes, Chris makes it home a little late, but he gets in time to see his parents, and obviously, you know, as we've established, he's lying to them. He's got 4 magic furry aliens living in his house. I understand not telling them about that because that's his responsibility and something
Right.
that maybe he shouldn't necessarily be doing. I feel like there being a dangerous robot and a known terrorist at his school would probably be something worth telling somebody.
Nah.
Yeah, I think so.
And yeah, that's it. That's it for this episode. What a silly farce.
Also, I just realized the government is really going to see that Eggman put a bunch of children in danger and continue to just watch him.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's like, I don't know, episode 12 maybe that it takes until the government actually attacks Eggman.
Gosh.
It might be earlier than that. I don't remember specifically when. But,
Well, sounds right.
yes, that's our episodes for today. And wow, this has taken a weird turn as a show. It's like the first 3 episodes all felt
Very
like
quickly.
they all felt like they were part of sort of one plot of getting you introduced to the show. These
Right.
were completely episodic. We did get one Emerald, which is a plot progression piece.
Sure, but not much of a plot progression piece, let's be honest.
Well, when I saw episode 4, I was like, okay, it's going to start the Emerald arc. We're going to get one in each of the
That's
next
what I
6
was
episodes.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
Nuh-uh.
No, the Emerald Hunt is immediately just abandoned for wacky fun hijinks.
Okay, well,
And also lakes.
the Emerald Hunt is at least acknowledged in that Eggman tricks them in the Knuckles episode.
Yeah, I guess it's more just the last one. It's just kind of
Yeah.
ignored.
Well, so it's like there's, you know, a very prevalent trend nowadays where you know, filler used to mean something specific with regards to anime, where it was stuff that was explicitly added to pad the length of the show because they needed to keep it from catching up with the manga. And so I don't want to call anything in this show filler because there's no source material, but there are things that feel like a waste of time, or like it starts to feel like a sitcom, which is very strange given that it's an action series.
I think you can still call it filler because fillers come to mean other things in terms of a lot of stuff.
It's
You
the
can definitely call it
vocabulary.
filler. Well,
Yeah.
because I'm sure they aimed for a certain number of episodes, and they probably needed to stretch out the plot a little bit to fit the mandated episode length.
Yeah.
I think that's almost certainly true, which doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. It mean you can take a little bit longer to do stuff. I mean, it's, you know, this show, I'm pretty sure the only time they have a fight last longer than 1 episode is the last episodes.
God.
And, you know, it's like you could make something more action oriented. And I know that they don't have to do that necessarily, but it is shocking how much it's like, you know, we complain is a strong word. We acknowledge that, you know, early comic incarnations of Sonic are mostly just vehicles for silly hijinks, but then this show is kind of the same way in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, already it kind of is.
You know, and I wonder if I'm maybe not coming at it from the right perspective, because if you are watching this show and you're not familiar with Sonic, which is definitely the case for a lot of people were introduced to Sonic through this show because it's on TV,
Right.
you can just see it.
Hmm.
You know, under that framing, you can definitely say that last episode is the Knuckles episode because not everybody's going to know what Knuckles is about. And much as we may like versions of Knuckles that are smarter than last episode, I can't say that last episode isn't consistent with how Sega uses Knuckles a lot of the time.
Sure.
Hmm.
But that still gives no excuse for the robot teacher episode, which is just disconnected gags.
Right.
It seemed kind of like a Chris episode, actually.
I guess, but it's like we don't
Yeah.
really get that much for him and his parents either.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna try to attach any lasting meaning to it, that's all I can think of.
Yeah, and well, that is a good point because next week we definitely will see that in the form of a episode that does develop Chris pretty well, develops Cream pretty well actually, and is better. And there's definitely going to be plot progression. If it's like, how do I say this? The show generally will keep things moving every week that we cover it, even if it's not moving the fastest,
Sure.
which I think means that it'll definitely manage to outpace some of the old cartoons, thankfully.
Hmm. Well, that's not terribly difficult.
Yeah, it really isn't.
Yeah. But with all that being said, that is our 3 episodes for the night. I'm actually feeling pretty good about the 3 episode a week pace, even if it means this takes 26
Mhm.
videos to finish. Um,
Mm.
it'll be all right. But I hope you guys enjoyed. That is going to be it for tonight. If you like this episode, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to contact us at any point for questions, comments, criticism, or feedback, you can reach us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. I got the outro right that time, but I stumbled over my words so much to do it. You can still tell that I'm like struggling. It's the worst running gag in our show. Anyway, hope you all have a great rest of your night. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and take care.